Everyone, and welcome to this AMA between CreatorDAO and Lendflare Finance. We got with us Terry, one of the devs from the team, and we're happy to be hosting you. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And let's dive right into the project. What is Lendflare?
So Lendflare is a lending platform that allows Curve investors to borrow against their LPs with a fixed rate and no need to worry about being liquidated due to price fluctuation. And loan liquidity provider will receive one of the highest APYs compared to any current lending platforms.
So can you tell us something about the team, their background, and how the idea for Lendflare Finance came about?
So we started a company in 2019. We're focusing on blockchain technologies and mainly smart contracts. We have a full development team, including UI designer, software engineers, product manager, and marketing manager. We are capable of building the entire project just by ourselves. After 2019, we did several freelancing jobs, and that's why Lendflare is fully funded by ourselves. The idea of Lendflare is actually coming from an article. They're talking about the problems happening in all current lending platforms, including Compound, Aave, Cream. And after we carefully read about the article, and as a group, we try to solve or partially solving their problems, Lendflare was born.
And what problems is Lendflare trying to solve?
So basically, we try to solve three problems. One is efficiency. So across all lending platforms, if your fund is not being lent out, then it won't receive any interest or APYs. So what we did is we want to maximize users' yield. So if you collateralize your LPs into our platform, we will redeposit into Convex to ensure you actually get a yield from your collateralized assets. And if you provide loan liquidity, even the money not being lent out, we will redeposit into Compound first. So you will get a basic APY along with a Comp token. So we actually maximize the kind of efficiencies. And the second one is the liquidation risk. So the price fluctuates a lot in the last few months. And what happened is if the price gets too low and the gas fees is too high, then your millions of dollars has a potential risk to being liquidated by the platform. So what we did is what we can do to eliminate this kind of risk, not just liquidate by this price fluctuation. So we changed the entire mechanism to we will lend you the same peg tokens. So that way we can protect your LPs or your collateralized assets. And the third one is we find a great value of the collateralized assets. So the Curve LPs have a great value compared to other tokens, unknown tokens. But what Cream does is they get involved in, or Venus in BSC, they get involved in a lot of I'll say bad tokens and taking that as a collateralized assets, and that has a potential risk to take out the loan liquidity. So what we did is we only focus on the Curve LPs, or even the factory pools in Curve. We eliminate that. So that way we can protect the loan liquidity from our investors. So those three problems are what we trying to solve. And fortunately, we have been solving in that there.
Very nice. So I'm personally a LP on Curve on Arbitrum, and I wanted to ask you, what is the advantage of using Lendflare to take out a loan based on your LP position rather than just staking your LP position into the gauge and getting the Curve rewards?
So you basically have the same thing. So what we did is, if you have LPs right now, whether you deposit into Convex or your Curve, you have a certain amount of APY and you stop there. What we provide is another service. If you give me your LPs, we redeposit back into Convex. And I give all of your interest back to you. So you will actually earn the same and give you an extra loan service. So you actually get 80 or 90% more of money.
I'm convinced. Sounds good.
Yep. Yep.
Now, how does the actual borrowing work?
What we do is when borrower is taking a loan, the collateralized assets will be valued in Curve first. So how much USDC or Bitcoins or Ethereum worth, and then it will stake back into Convex to maximize borrower's yield and give all of this kind of interest back to the borrowers. And that amount of money that borrowers can borrow are pre-calculated, and we use that kind of number, and we go to compound side and withdraw the corresponding amount from compound and give this fund to borrower. So that's the entire process of borrowing.
Now, the borrowing interest rate is a fixed percentage. And how is that percentage calculated? And how and when do borrowers pay for their loan interest?
So the interest rate of Landflare is determined using the interest rate amplification coefficients. So you can check it in our white paper. And of course, our utilization rate. So we basically just amplify the compound borrow rate. And the loan interest is paid, when they pay back all the loans. So, this interest rate is fixed because we force it to be fixed. That thing we can guarantee that the millions of dollars was safe. They're not going to be liquidated due to, a sudden increase in interest rate.
Now, there's no risk of liquidation unless borrowers fail to pay back their loans in time. How does the liquidation work, and what will borrowers have left after being liquidated?
If borrower fail to pay back any loans, Landflare will remove liquidity from Curve using the LPs rather than other platform they have to sell it on Uniswap or whatever. We just remove the liquidity from Curve, and all of the interest that has been generated during this loan time will be given back to borrowers. So even if your assets being liquidated, you still get your interest during that period, but at the same time, your principal is gone.
Regarding the lending, we talked about the borrowing earlier, the lending. How does the lending work, and what do users earn when they supply liquidity?
So the lending method, we call it the loan liquidity provider. So the loan liquidity that the supplier provide will be deposited into compound first to earn basic interest, so that even no money was lent out from our platform, they still can get a basic interest from compound. At the same time, the comp token. And if borrow occurs, those liquidity will be withdrawn from compound, and the borrowers has to pay a amplified compound interest. So as a liquidity provider, they will receive a much higher supplied APY. So in that way, that's how lending works. And if you supply liquidity, then if you supply DAI pool, you can get DAI as an interest. And at the same time, you get comp token from compound. And the main thing is you can get LFT. So LFT is our Landflare token. Yeah, those are three main things you can receive as a liquidity provider.
Okay, and regarding the platform itself, what advantage does Landflare have over similar protocols or your competitors, like let's say Alchemix?
I'm not a fan of making a wrap token, because if you wrap something and that thing doesn't make sense, then you have to find a way to generate some yield to make it make sense. So I'm not saying Alchemix is a bad platform, but I'm just not convinced. So we don't make wrap tokens, and I think our main advantage is the yield that actually being generated the actual lending and borrowing from two sides. The Curve actually has this kind of needs, and the other ones, the supply side also have that kind of needs. So those two meet together, and generate a yield rather than, staking one unknown tokens to a platform and earn whatever unknown tokens to give that kind of yield. So I think that was the main advantage. So the actual borrowing and lending causing this hype rather than, just following on higher APYs.
In the world of DeFi, you definitely know there are a lot of risks, a lot of hackers out there, and there's been a lot of recent exploits. What measures have you guys taken in regards to protecting yourselves against DeFi exploits and smart contract risks?
So there are a few actions we actually are thinking about right now. So Certic provide a great service which is called Skynet, and we actually are part of it. So they help us to monitor what happens within the contracts. So if suddenly the transaction comes higher, they can actually warn us about that, or some money flows into one particular accounts, then we will be able to track that. Also, we're thinking about making all of our code public. So IPFS is definitely on our list, and that will probably solve the better problem. So the better DAO problem we all know is because of the approval problem. So if we make our front end public, then everyone can see like what kind of addresses you can actually approved on. So we can minimize that kind of risks.
One of our community members or Creator DAO members, Shauna, she is asking if there's any risks that users should pay attention to with the contract being able to deduct 0.1 ETH as liquidation insurance. Are there any risks associated with this approval?
Well, nope, no matter. I don't think that will be a problem. All of our contracts are composable. So 0.1 is our estimate. So we have to pay 0.1 ETH if we liquidate our assets. And if that was too much, we can change it to zero, back to zero. So I don't think that would be a huge problem.
Now, Lendflare does not charge users for any management fees for Curve and compound investments. How does the platform actually generate revenue?
So actually, we take 10% from the extra yield that we generate in Lendflare. So the borrowers has to pay a higher APY than compound. So that extra bit, we'll take some of them and use that as our revenue.
And I can see on your website that you have a token LFT. Is that released yet?
No, it hasn't released yet. So it will be released after we launch the main part on the Ethereum mainnet.
Can you tell us about the tokenomics of the LFT? How it's going to work?
Yeah, so we basically inherit all the tokenomics from Curve. So we have LFT as a reward for those to provide us the liquidity. And if you stake LFT, you will get a voting token. And at the same time, you share 50% of all the interest generated from our pools across the platform. So and also another main function is once you stake your LFT, you get a voting token, and you can use that as to make proposals and vote on several things that can change the parameters of our platforms.
So similar to Curve, you'll have the VE LFT token or something like that, and it will give you the ability to boost your pools and also vote in the gauges.
Yes.
Okay. Very, very cool. And what stage is the project development currently in?
So we are fully developed at the moment, and we have hand over our contract to Certic for audit.
And what's on your roadmap for the next 3 to 6 months?
So in the next 2 months, we'll release Lendflare DAO. So that will combine both snapshot and time lock contracts. We will generally remove our power to our community. So that will be our main goal for the next 3 months. And we will definitely do a test on Rinkeby before we launch on mainnet.
So just to clarify to the listeners, if you go right now to your webpage, app.lendflare.finance, it's on the Rinkeby testnet, correct?
Yep.
What is the long-term vision for the project?
So basically, what we are aiming for is we want to build a big ecosystem like Curve. That's why we inherit their tokenomics. So what we would, you can do a boost platform like Wiren or Convex, and what we do is we just focusing on uh, making our project better and better every day, and then try to get others to involved in our ecosystem. And with our ecosystem, we can combine our projects to the Curve project, so we can be in one all ecosystem. So yeah, that was our main goal. Yeah, to get involved in great projects.
Right now, everybody's talking about the curve wars. Do you consider
Mm-hmm.
Lenflare to be a participant in these curve wars?
I've read some of the papers or articles as well. Say there's curve war. I don't think, and we are making any competitors at the moment. We just, we combine things. We combine compound and curve. We can combine potentially can combine Aave to curve. So we are not making enemies. We just make it better. Or even convex. Some say convex and curve they have a huge conflicts. Uh, well, for us, we are not. They're both our allies.
We like it. You guys want to see everyone win.
Yep, that's what is our goal. We don't make enemies.
That's a vision we can stand behind.
No.
That's a vision we like.
Yep. All right.
And what about
Thank you.
challenges? What are some of the challenges you face, and how are you going to overcome them?
Well, the main question, the main challenge is always how we promote this projects, because all the technical problems we have all solved that. So now we are focusing on how to promote our projects. That's why we work. We are really appreciate that you can work with us, so we can tackle this challenge together.
Are there any upcoming events that will help drive users to the platform?
Yeah, we are running beta test at the moment. So if you participate in any of our services, include lending, borrowing, mock IDO, or staking NFT, you have a chance to get part of our NFT tokens. That is our upcoming events.
So this is the alpha of the interview.
Yep.
So, I mean, we could cut this out if this is not open knowledge that we could share. People that use your Rinkeby testnet on your app as it currently stands on the webpage stand to receive an airdrop of the LFT token. Very interesting. Can any more information be revealed about that or not yet?
For the airdrops? Yeah, so we just finished alpha 1 month ago, and we random select 500 from the testers. So the second one is about 1,500 testers. So we can split part of the airdrops to the communities, like your community. So we are open to any discussion about these airdrops, and the amount is fixed, so it will be exactly 1%. Also, we can take part of team tokens and use that as airdrop also. So we're open to any discussions.
If I understand correctly, 1% of the 3.03 billion total supply. So that is 3 million LFT tokens. It's quite lucrative.
Nice. And everyone that uses the testnet is going to get a potential airdrop, or is 1,500 people going to be randomly selected?
1,500 will be selected randomly. And now what we find is some of the big names, they don't want to relate their Twitter accounts to their actual Ethereum accounts. So they just do the test and they don't, post it. So we actually get 200 from Twitter, and we got 1,500, more than 1,000 from our actual test. So what we do now is we can split part of that 1,500 to your community, like 200, 300, or we can just randomly airdrop this to some big accounts. Yeah, that's what we can do right now to boost this kind of event.
And for people that are listening in and they're saying, oh, that sounds really great, Lendflare is an awesome product. Are there any other ways that they could either position themselves for an airdrop or just be involved in general with the community in these early stages? Like, are there any other actions they could take, like maybe participating in your Discord or other things like that?
Yeah, we're thinking about giving some roles like OGs at the moment, but we are not rushing to any of that yet, because the first thing we want to do is making an actual proper educational video and introduce our platform to the community first before we can open up this OG or this random airdrop thing. Yeah, because we want to get some real positive or even bad feedbacks from the actual users, and we can generally improve our projects.
Well, thanks, Terry, for the AMA, and we look forward to working with you guys. We'll speak to you soon.
Right. Thank you very much for having me.